Happy Saturday Sunday. We're going to be talking about how to maintain your starter. So this was just out of the fridge, and as you can see, it's warmed up a little bit. I always let it warm up just a touch. And now we're going to feed it. So when you're feeding it, you need to know about how much you're going to need. So if I'm making a loaf of bread, I need about 100 grams. So you would want to at least raise 50 grams because you're going to triple as you go. You'll see. So this is 100. This is an overkill, but I want you to be able to see it. So if you see right here, you can see on my scale, it's a little over 100. I think it's 110 grams. So you want to put the same amount of water. So I'm going to zero it out. And now I'm going to put about 100 grams of water. And it doesn't have to be like perfect. And it's about 106. So you can see it kind of separates out a little bit. See the starter right about there. No big deal because you're going to kind of stir it in. And I always do it in this order. I always do my starter and then I add my water. And then it turns into weird milky cloudy water that looks like this. I just splashed it on myself. And that's where this spatula comes in really handy because you can see you don't have to get your hand gross. And then now, so we added 100 grams of starter, 100 grams of water, and the last one's going to be 100 grams of flour. So my flour, I feed the red bag of King Arthur. Oh, I'm gonna need a spoon or something. So it's not gonna take a whole lot. And this is why you gotta have a scale, because make your life easier. That's about 30. I know if you're wondering, like, do I have to use the same flour when I make my bread? No, this is just for feeding it. So I use a totally different bread flour whenever I actually make my bread. So up to 70 grams. It's about 100, it's 103. So this is where it's not tricky. It's just the part that I always like to say, like, you'll learn how it looks. So right now we have the flour on top and you want to mix it together. And as you mix it together, you don't want something that's too watery and you don't want something that is like not mixing together. It's, I guess, too hard, has too much flour in it. So you'll learn pretty quickly. You can see it's coming together. You'll learn pretty quickly whether or not it's looking like a good consistency. You can see it takes a little bit of effort. So you can see how I'm mixing it in, the water's disappearing. It looks kind of lumpy and bumpy and doesn't look great to me. I can tell by looking at this. It looks a little bit too dry. So I'm not gonna let go and dump a ton of water in there. I'm just gonna add a splash, like a little bit. If you left it like that, it's still gonna rise. It's just gonna take longer. And if I mess up and I make it so that it's too thin, I can add a little bit more flour. It's not like a perfect science. So this is how we're taking the inactive discard that I keep in my fridge until I want to bake. And I slowly turn it into, I'd even say it's still a little bit thick. I might have overkilled it with that much water, but we'll see. Because like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, that's looking like a pretty good consistency because you can see that, like, there's no big bumps of flour in there. We'll kind of let that chill out for a second. I'm gonna walk over here where our calendar is and get the dry erase marker, because what I always do is I come in here on the side and I'm going to mark where it is. I use a dry erase marker because it comes off easy. And then I'll wait until it doubles. Depends on the day. If it's warm, it might only take a little bit. If it's cooler, it might take a lot longer. And then once it doubles, that's where we can finally start baking. If I decide I don't want to use this today, no big deal. Put the lid back on it, put it in the fridge, and it'll be good until next time. But you're gonna have to feed it all over again because it's got to be in its active state when you want to bake it. So I'm gonna have some extra sourdough starter. If you need some, hit me up. And happy Sourdough Sunday.